Welcome to the small town of Mount Pleasant, North Carolina. Right here in the historic district of the town, established in 1848, and Mount Pleasant was incorporated in 1859. Good afternoon, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Hitch Hiking Yeti here. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. It's good to be in Mount Pleasant. I have never been here in this area before. This is a town that was really built on mills, cotton mills that is. We're going to definitely take a look at some of their old cotton mills today. The cotton mills have been shut down for many years now. I think the last one that was actually running and operational here in the area dates back to about 2014. But there is one here very close by, right here in front of me actually, we're going to look at right here momentarily. Give you a little bit of history about this old brick building right here. This is one of their cotton mills, so we're going to walk down this sidewalk a little bit more. Talk about the cotton mill, when it started, how long it ran, and things like that. And then we're going to get into the downtown area, look at some of their buildings. And then we're going to end the vlog off today. They have a really, really cool, I guess you could call it an antique mall or an antique shop here called the White Owl. And my wife is wanting to go there, and that's kind of why we're in town today. So I'm going to take you along with me inside the White Owl, check out some of the retro goodness that they have inside. I think they have records, they have wrestling memorabilia from different wrestlers over the years, all kind of toys and things like that. So a lot of cool retro stuff. That's right up my alley, so really looking forward to that. Okay, I'm standing here next to West Franklin Street here in Mount Pleasant. And this building right here is the old Kinley Cotton Mill. The mill was incorporated in 1896. The mill was operated by the Kinley family till 1920. Then it was sold to the Halifax Mills Corporation. And then it was sold again to A.N. James in 1925. James operations continued to the 1960s. And then the mill finally closed in the 1970s. So now we're going to make our way into the historic district. Go check out some of the downtown areas and stuff before we make our way over to the White Owl Antique Shop. And they even have an old prison that's really close by that they have turned into a distillery. So we're definitely going to have to go check that out before we leave also. So I was walking along the sidewalk here toward the downtown area here in Mount Pleasant, and I seen this sign right here. It says Christmas light installation free estimates. I can go ahead and tell you, I could do that. That is a business that I could do no problem, because over the years, not here recently, but years when I was younger, especially in my 20s and teens, I used to love decorating our house. I went all out every single year, with a manger scene, the whole nine, lights everywhere. I would definitely do installations, no problem, because the part I did not like about Christmas decorations, Christmas trees, etc., indoor, outdoor, don't matter, is taking it down. Putting it up was fun. That was exciting. So yeah, as long as that don't count taking them down, I would be all in on that. I think that would be a fun little side job around the Christmas season. Right here on the main thoroughfare leading into town, we have the Mount Pleasant Smokehouse. And right there it is. They have a help wanted sign up. You can't go wrong. You cannot go wrong with a barbecue joint in a small North Carolina town. I mean, that ranks right up there with hamburgers. And speaking of hamburgers, they have one of them right across the road here. WAB, that stands for What a Burger. And this is What a Burger number 13. This is kind of a popular little spot, you know, in the Mooresville suburbs of Charlotte. Some of these small towns, you can find a What a Burger, and they have one here in the town of Mount Pleasant. And this is a cool one, man. Now, some of the ones I've been to in the past look a little bit different than this one. The ones I've seen normally has like curb service or curb drive-in where you can like pull up and just make your order from your car and they bring it out to you. But this one here looks like to be pretty much mostly just a dine-in spot. So to give you a little bit of backstory about What a Burger, because it's actually been through some legal battles over the last series of years, because there's a Texas chain very similarly named What a Burger. In other words, all the lettering is together. what a burger is actually hyphenated. It's what with a dash, a dash, and burger. So it is very similar, but this one here in North Carolina is actually got some hyphens in it. So Whataburger here in the Carolinas was actually opened in 1969 by Marvin Bost Sr. and his wife Jane. A legal dispute with the Texas Whataburger was filed, a trademark infringement lawsuit against them back in, I think, 2022. The Texas chain alleges that Whataburger is confusingly similar to their registered trademarks. There was a coexisting agreement made in 2023, according to some sources, which placed restrictions on the usage of the name by the North Carolina business. So all that means is, for right now, everything is going to be okay and they're going to play nice together. But I think it's kind of not very cool for a outside company, even if you're a big chain, to come into another place like North Carolina and you're wanting to open up your stores and then you start causing problems with like trademark talks and stuff, when this little like smaller business has been here for 50 years or something. You shouldn't mess with them. There's enough hamburgers for everybody. Come on. So right next door to the Whataburger number 13, you can find this awesome wall mural of an old service station here in the area. That is pretty awesome, pretty epic. Love the old gas pump right here. The workers, the attendants are kind of leaning up against old Texaco gasoline. Yeah, man, that is nice. Okay, I'm down here where Main Street and West Franklin Street actually crosses right here in the middle of town. And I was reading online before I got here, and there was a place called the Lentz Hotel that was built here in town in 1853, making it the oldest commercial building in Cabarrus County. Now, this place was moved in 1980 from its original location here in the town square to another location. And I found the address to it, so before we leave today, we might just kind of cruise by there and check it out. I'm not going to stop or anything because the old hotel is actually be repurposed, refinished, and I think it's just a resident now, but nonetheless, I like to show like the oldest hotel or building here in town before we leave. Okay, so just a few stores down from the Lentz Cafe is this place called Kingdom Corner. And this is a retro collectible sports memorabilia store, and they got media and more. And check out all the good stuff that they offer here on this blackboard. They got toys, clothing, vinyl records, music, sports, and media. Let's go inside and check it out. This ought to be a nice little stop for us today. All right, so I had to walk inside this place a little bit. They have a lot of good stuff in here. Check out Ric Flair up there. Look at that Johnny Cash poster right next to Motley Crue, Dr. Feelgood. Johnny Cash, man, being a rebel, flicking the bird. Look at that. Now, recently we lost the great Ace Frehley. And right there they have a picture of Ace. Looks like it's about circa 1979 Dynasty Tour. Then they have these really awesome. I actually have the Gene Simmons one, just like this. Got it for Christmas long time ago during their reunion tour or somewhere around that time period. Right there's Ace. They got all four of them. Peter. Right there's Paul Stanley. And the cool thing about these, you can actually, well, I don't know if these work or not. Mine barely works, but if you push the button on each character, it will play a song. You're like Gene, he plays God of Thunder, And Ace Frehley, I'm sure he does Shock Me. So pretty cool. Pretty awesome. They still got those. Check out these right here. Right there's another Ace. Right there's Paul. Yeah, man, they got some good Kiss stuff in there. Even right up there, we got some Dale Earnhardt going on. Heck yeah, man. If you're going to find a Dale Earnhardt poster in a store like this, North Carolina is the place to do it. Speaking of Earnhardt, check out this old Dale Earnhardt Jr. sporting the Bud team colors back when he raced at DEI. Yeah, man, that's cool. Nextel. That could have possibly been in 2004 right there, that picture. Okay, I made it back here where they have some of their music and collectibles, like their vinyl and stuff like that. Check out this old Cinderella poster. Man, that is the 80s. That is what 80s hair bands look like. And they rocked. They rocked. I was a pretty big fan. Seen Cinderella several times in concert. Right here's some of their vinyl. We'll check that out. They got some Steppenwolf. Big Steppenwolf. I liked his music. They have a plethora of CDs here on the rack. We got some more Kiss collectibles up here top. That's pretty cool. That there is probably around the Dynasty era outfit, or even unmasked for Kiss, going off of what Gene's Axe base looks like and everything. And then right here, this one here is probably more or less around Destroyer or Rock and Roll Over, these collectibles right here. So yeah, really, really cool stuff here. And then he's got something else over here with Kiss on it. It's actually autographed. It looks kind of spooky, actually, like Gene is really trying to be friendly with that young lady. Okay, so that was a quick little look here at Kingdom Corner. Really nice place in there. Really good people running it. They was very kind and gave me free reign to just kind of go in and look at what I want to look at. So definitely give them a try. You can actually scan that QR code right there and get more information on them. And I think they're even on Instagram and things like that. So give them a follow and check them out, man. They got a lot of cool stuff in there. So down the street just a little bit further here on North Main Street is this structure, this beautiful house right here. And this is possibly the oldest existing building. This is the Henderson Barrier House, built in 1840. Now it says up there on that little plaque, it was established in 1830, but online it actually says it was built in 1840. But this right here supposedly is the oldest existing building here in the town of Mount Pleasant. So I decided just to walk to the Lentz Hotel, the oldest business structure here in town. We've seen the oldest home. Now we're going to go see the oldest business structure, which is also now probably just a residence, but we're going to walk to it. But if you're like me, you probably wonder how Mount Pleasant got its name. Because it's elevated. The town center is elevated and it's pleasant, so it's got pleasant surroundings, so that's how it got its name, Mount Pleasant. That's pretty simple enough, actually. But yeah, I just had to walk up this sidewalk over here, kind of on this hilltop here in the center of town, as we walk ever so much closer to the old Lentz Hotel, which is now, I think, a resident. We're going to find out when we get there, but if you didn't know, now you know. Now this right here is a pretty neat looking house. Now this ain't the hotel, but this place right here is kind of cool, because this here is called the boarding house. And it says circa 1865 on it. That's pretty old. But I think our hotel, the Lentz Hotel, should be right down here, not too much further. Okay, so according to my information online, this is the old Lentz Hotel, built around 1853. But back in the day, this structure was actually uptown in the square area, which was moved to this location in 1980. Now, as you can see, it is not a hotel no more, but it's definitely been repurposed, fixed up, and is actually for sale now, it looks like. So there you go. International Realty is selling this old structure. So looks like it's in great shape. They've done a great job with it, that's for sure. It's got a metal roof on it, or a tin roof as they say. It's really nice looking architecture. Kind of cool to see the one of the oldest buildings, or at least oldest commercial buildings left in town from the mid 1800s. Okay, I think that will pretty much do it for the downtown area here in Mount Pleasant. Now let's go check out the old Tuscarora Mill. Talk about it a little bit, give a little history, a little backstory to the mill. That was another business that lasted all the way up to 2014. I think that was the last and final mill here in the area that finally called it quits. And it was really, one of the cornerstones for this community, this mill community. So I think that's pretty rad. Let's go check that out, and then we're going to go over to the antique mall. Okay, so we started our vlog off with the mill on West Franklin Street, and now I'm over here on East Franklin Street on the opposite side of Mount Pleasant. And this here is the Tuscarora Mill. This here is the old mill right here, this brick structure. Now they do have the Tuscarora Tap House around the back side of it, which I'll show you that as we talk a little bit about the history as we walk. So this mill was chartered in 1899 by Dr. John Melton Lentz, and other business partners included Martin Foyle, who he will be a player later on in the story. The mill was constructed in 1901 with 13 mill houses for the workers. And then in 1944, Martin Foyle Sr. assumed control of the mill, and then the mill operated until it closed its operations in 2010, which I think is pretty awesome, because when you're thinking about these old cotton mills and things like that, you know, NAFTA happened back in the mid-90s. And NAFTA was a piece of legislation that Bill Clinton pushed through, the the free trade agreement, and it decimated a lot of these manufacturing small towns here in the South, especially. And I've talked about this in many videos in the past. Kannapolis, Cannon Mill, all that stuff. It was ravaged by the NAFTA, and this right here saying, probably had the same fate, and it closed down, but it still made it 15 years afterwards. I can remember my dad worked in a knitting mill, and he had been working there for like 25 years in Statesville, North Carolina. I think the mill might have been called Bally at the time. FlexNet, and then they went to Bally. But yeah, it shut down like, God, man, maybe 3 years after that stuff went, or that legislation got pushed through, his job went to Mexico. Just like that, boom, it was cheaper labor. And so you see a lot of old mills here in the Carolinas, just like this one, that used to be a booming part of the city and the town, and help growth and help put a little bit of bread on the table. But now all that stuff's gone, and people's had to find other ways to make money or just move away. And then when people move away, even though Mount Pleasant ain't one of these towns, it's like abandoned, like I show sometime here on the channel, it's still, affected in some way. Luckily, this town is close enough to probably like a big metropolitan area like Charlotte. It probably doesn't affect it quite as hard as some of the towns I showed that's more like out in the countryside, like, 50 miles away from a big town or something. All that being said, let's go ahead while we still can and make our way over to the White Owl antique store. I cannot wait to see that. And that used to be a mill too. I just don't know the name of it, but maybe I can ask somebody when I get there and give you a name. Oh yeah, one more thing before I leave the area. I did want to show you the tap house, and right there it is, right here, just right behind the old mill. It says great vibes, great brews. Right there you'll find the tap house. So if you're here in the area and you want you a good drink, man, go in there and give it a try. Okay, I made it to White Owl Antiques. Now they close in about 30 minutes, so we're gonna have to make this pretty quick. Definitely want to go inside just to see what they have available here. And I did walk in just to ask a few questions about what this building used to be, and it was a hosiery mill. And I think he said he thought it was open until about 2013 or 14. It's when they finally closed it. So it was open for quite a while. But that's what this was. It was not a cotton mill, it was a hosiery mill. So now we both know. And wow, look at these old doors right here. And look at this. You can tell this is an old mill. Look at the floors in here. Yeah, this place looks rustic. Hey, this is nice. So I seen online where they have some wrestling memorabilia in here, and they wasn't kidding. They do have some good stuff. Look at these old masks up here. You got The Rock. Right there's the Big Show, the Undertaker. Check out that old school Sting. That is pretty awesome right there. Some good stuff. Right there's Hulkamania belt. That is pretty awesome. Right now here we got some Mankind. Here's the Honky Tonk Man autograph guitar. Right there he is. That's old school WWF days there, man. I love it. And right there is a local legend, the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Have Kevin Nash up there, who was one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. It's like they got quite a few Ric Flair things autographed amongst other wrestlers. More of an old school guy. There's a good Hulk Hogan and Jimmy Hart. And it would not be a wrestling collection if you did not have a little Ultimate Warrior. Yeah, that's right, Jim Hellwig. They got some stuff here from him. Oh, now that right there is freaking awesome. Looky there, there's Butterbean. I can remember when Butterbean was in the WWF for a short period of time. He did that Tough Man contest with the wrestlers, and he ended up knocking out, I think it was Bart Gunn. He knocked him clear out. I mean, it didn't last no time. It wasn't fair, really, because Butterbean was a legitimate boxer. And from Memphis, Tennessee, we have Jerry the King Lawler autograph, Hall of Fame 2007. Check that out. It's like his robe. I don't know if that's legit or not, but my gosh, that is pretty awesome. So back in the mid-'80s, I got into NWA wrestling. And then as I went along, I found out about Hulk Hogan and WWF in the late 80s into the early 90s. And then by the time the mid-90s come around, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall left and jumped and went from WWF to WCW. And with Hulk Hogan, started the whole NWO angle that kind of re-energized my love for wrestling, and was a really big fan all the way up until Vince McMahon ended up finally just buying WCW. And that kind of killed the Monday Night Wars. And I think wrestling kind of went downhill a little bit after that, because you didn't have two companies really pushing each other competitively to put the very best product and really push the boundaries of what was safe to put on TV or not. But all in that being said, I really love finding places with old school wrestling memorabilia and the old school wrestlers with their autographs and things like that. And even sometimes you might even see a robe, like we just seen Jerry the King Lawler's robe. That's really awesome. So let's keep on moving and see what else we can find here at the White Owl Antiques. And welcome to Mordor. Just kidding. They have quite a little collection of old Halloween animatronics. You could have probably found these back in the day, especially that clown back there. I've seen him at Spirit Halloween in the past. And right here, they got some more horror stuff up here, some autographs. Nev Campbell, who was in the movie Scream. Check out these old animatronics, man. He looks kind of creepy. I think I used to see him at Lowe's at one time several years ago. Right here's old Grave Digger. Is that Reagan from The Exorcist? Is she about to vomit pea soup? Lord, I hope not. That was probably the scariest horror movie ever. And I was way too young to be watching. I dreamed about that for several days. Check this out right here from Gremlins. They have Stripe animatronic. I just seen one just like this. So recently I was at City Halloween in South Carolina, which was formerly known as Conway. And they actually had this very animatronic at the roadside, which is really cool. Right there we got Chucky, the Bride of Chucky. Right there's another very spooky Linda Blair signed Exorcist animatronic. That is pretty cool. So this place is like Halloween overload. They have a lot of animatronics kind of scattered throughout the floor here. And they are pretty creepy looking. All right, this place is overwhelmingly huge. You cannot look at this in 30 minutes. I just got here 30 minutes before they close. Kind of stressing a little bit, but I'm trying to calm down. But look at all these toys. Oh my gosh. Look at all these loose figures they have here. This is like old wrestling stuff, like from the 80 era, you know, Ted DiBiase, things like that. They still got stuff in boxes here. Also, if you're a big wrestling fan from that era, you might want to come here. I mean, just look at all these collectibles that they have here. Tons. The plush is up there. Check that out, man. There's a Flash. Got Superman, Captain America, the Hulk. This place is a treasure trove. I mean, there's so many nooks and crannies that you can just walk into. You can't see what's around the corner. You just see like stuff like that. NASCAR toys. Look at all these collectible glasses throughout the years. You remember when McDonald's used to do like collectible glasses and stuff of all kinds of like Smurfs and stuff like that? Yeah, they got stuff like that here. That's what all this stuff is. I can't show you all of it. I'm just trying to give you a brief. If I can squeeze through here, let me turn around. We got books galore. I mean, this is like ain't this like the scene from the Ghostbusters when that librarian is like walking around and books start floating behind her? You know, like right here, you can see the books kind of switch places right behind me. Ooh. Oh, that's pretty rad. Look at that. Right there. My favorite NASCAR driver all time. Dale Jarrett. Pretty cool. There he is, the man. He won quite a few races in that car in a championship. 1999 champion right there, folks. All right, this is pretty cool. Right here, they have a location with a bunch of vinyl records for sale here. Rock and roll music is what this area is called. So they got a lot of old school VHS tapes. Oh my God. Now, I have these somewhere. And you know, I'm a huge Kiss fan. I remember buying this. The Kiss Second Coming VHS. I had that. I had Crazy Nights, which was a concert. Extreme Up Close, which was kind of a documentary around the Revenge album somewhere in that time period. That is pretty awesome if those are still around. Right there is one of my favorite movies of all time, Smokey and the Bandit. Heck yeah, man. Burt Reynolds. Some good stuff. Let's walk back here and see some of the more wrestling stuff. Check that stuff out, man. This place is wrestling overload if you're a fan. And right up here, they have some more Kiss memorabilia. Check that out. And right here is the old McFarlane toys. I actually got this set. I got all four of these at the house, but mine's a little bit different. Where I think most stores sold them with the I, the K, and the two S's. Like each character, like Peter had the I, then Gene, Paul, and Ace, they had like the K and the two S's. I can't remember what order, but mine actually had the solo albums. Mine were a little bit different. but mine had the solo albums in it, and mine was like a little bit more limited edition because of that. And oh, by the way, if any of you diehards out there are still rocking the cassette players from back in the day, they got you covered also. Look at that mound of cassettes. That's all cassettes, not CDs, not even 8-track, but cassettes. Now that right there is pretty cool. I love Dressed to Kill. Classic Kiss album. That was the 3rd album they ever made. Look at all these plush toys. Yeah, if you ever come to the White Owl, highly recommend it. A lot of stuff here. I mean, a lot of stuff. There's pretty much a surprise around every corner. You just never know what you might find. But we're going to wrap it up and move on out. I got here with about 30 minutes to spare. Just wanted to give you a little taste of what they had here. And now we're going to make it on down the road to an old prison. And then we're going to wrap up our vlog here today in Mount Pleasant. I had a great time. This is a really cool spot right here. Mark this one down on your maps. White Owl Antiques, Mount Pleasant, North Carolina. Pretty awesome. Okay, my friends, I made my way just outside of town a bit here in Mount Pleasant. We're going to wrap our vlog up right here as you see this barbed wire chain link fence right here. And the reason we see this, and you see this guard tower right here, we're at an old prison that was built in 1929. I'm talking about the Cabarrus Correctional Center, sometime referred to as the Cabarrus Prison or Mount Pleasant Prison. Opened in 1929, it was built during a period of reform in North Carolina's prison system. After 1925, the state enacted a prison reform legislation outlawing some of the harsher practices such as flogging, which when you hear the word flogging, that means they was being whipped or beaten in some way. The prisoners were being mistreated in some way, and they wanted to stop those practices, so they built places like this to hopefully house less prisoners and have a little bit different, this wasn't like a maximum security prison or anything. So you didn't have like super violent people that supposedly was being housed here. So that's kind of what this place was built for. It was more of a low-risk adult male facility, if you will. All right, guys, we're going to take a quick look at some of the jail cells here. Solitary confinement, check that out. There where they use the toilet, as I like to call it, the throne. That's pretty awesome. Just give you a little idea of what prison cells look like here at the old prison, the Cabarrus Correctional Facility. It's really awesome, pretty neat. Look down through there. They're about to cut the lights off and do a little ghost exploration here, so I got to just step in just for a minute just to see what it looks like. I'm going to let the pros take over after this. Good luck, man, with your ghost hunting.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. I think that is going to pretty much do it for us today. So those guys are going to go in there and do a little ghost hunting and see what kind of spirits they can come up with or find. So they were really cool guys. They actually invited me inside. I wasn't even planning on going inside. They said, you want to go inside and see the solitary confinement? I'm like, oh yeah, let's do it, man. That's awesome. So all that being said, man, I am done today. Thank you so much. I had a great time here in Mount Pleasant. Got to meet some cool guys right there and meet some really nice people uptown, man. Some of the business owners are very, very kind to me and invited me in their stores and let me look around. I really do appreciate that. Okay, my friends, all that being said, as the sun is beginning to set here at the prison and the ghost might just start to come out. They're ready. Those guys are hyped. They even have ghost hunting on their shirts, man. They're in it. So all that being said, I'm really done today. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, friends, I am the Hitchhiking Yeti, and I will see you in my next adventure. This has been a good one today. Really had a good time today, man. Anytime I'm smiling this big at the end of a vlog, man, you know I had a great time. So really a lot of fun. Everyone stay safe out there as always. Hope to see you all again soon. Yeah. Till next time, I'm the Hitchhiking Yeti. And I will see you in my next adventure. Might go in that distillery. Man, they're rocking in there. I know you guys can't hear it very well because, this microphone kind of drowns out the background noise at 20 hertz, but man, it's thumping. They're rocking and rolling. Look at this front. Look at the front here. Check out that big scoop, that big old spooky skeleton. And right there's a gift shop, by the way, if you do come here. But man, there it is. Little bonus footage. Just give you a little look at what the front looks like. Look at those barrels in there, man. Ho, ho, ho. They ready to party. Look at that. There you go. Southern Grace Distilleries, Mount Pleasant, North Carolina. Come get you some. Heck yeah.